Now, if you're going to play great golf, there's one thing that daggone sure has to happen every single time. You got to swing down on a descending blow, hit the golf ball first, and then take a divot in front of the golf ball. If you want to know if you're doing this right, simply put a tee about 4 inches behind your golf ball roughly. If the grass is taller, it may need to be a little bit more than that. But I should be able to swing, miss that tee, hit the golf ball, and take a divot in front very easily. There we go. So we can see I missed the tee. Nice clean shot. Hit it great. 157 yards with a 9-iron. I'm pretty daggone happy with that. So how do we make that happen? Well, the first tip, and probably what you've heard time and time again, is you got to get your weight left. This can be very misleading. Yes, with all great players, your weight is going to shift to your left foot. You are going to open your hips, which is going to help to push the hands in front a little bit, help you to get that divot in front. You're going to have what's called shaft lean, meaning that this club shaft, instead of being straight up and down, it's leaning forward. That helps you to hit the ball and then release that and hit the turf in front of the golf ball. All those things are true, but a lot of times when people hear that they need to get their weight left, what ends up happening is their upper body goes to the left too, meaning your nose and your sternum also go to the left. That's a no-no. If you do that, you're going to come down over the top. As you get your upper body to the left, you're going to be able to swing more to the left. It's steeper. You definitely don't want to do that. You're also going to be so far in front of the golf ball, you're going to feel like you have to flip just to keep from slamming the club down into the ground and chunking it while you're doing that. Or if you had shaft lean, you just kind of swing over top of it and hit way up here. So even though you get your weight to the left, the secret to this is you still need to keep your nose behind the golf ball. And let's try this out here. I want you to go ahead and set up to this golf ball. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take our left foot to where it's resting on the ground, and I'm going to feel like my head then turns behind the golf ball. So yes, my weight is on my left foot, but my upper body is angled back. Now that's a bit of an exaggeration. If you do this, you're going to hit shots a little bit too much from the inside typically. Just like that one's going to draw back a little bit. It's going to be tough to slice one from that position. So if you get your weight left, right foot resting on the ground, and you just go ahead and put your head behind the golf ball, now you'll see there's this angle with my upper body. That's going to tend to get me a little too much from the inside, exaggerating it, which is a good thing at first, and I'm going to tend to hit a lot of big draws. Once you've done that a couple times though, that exaggeration, go back and do that with your real swing, and it makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to have the same sensation here. My weight goes to the left. Everything is over this left foot. My right heel starts to come off the ground a little bit, but my nose is slightly behind the golf ball. In fact, if you look at every single player on the PGA Tour, when they hit a shot, their nose is going to be behind the golf ball without fail. Doesn't matter what shot they're hitting, as far as they're going to go left with their weight, they're always going to keep their nose behind the ball. And that just makes it a heck of a lot easier to be really consistent. Now, the second piece of this is, even if you do get your weight left, if I start to throw the club, it's going to make it ground out early. So if you imagine I have this big angle of lag in my right wrist, I keep that angle coming through, I have the shaft lean, then the club releases out here, the divot is going to be in front of the golf ball. If I start to cast from the top and throw this club out, you can see how the club gets much farther from my body and it wants to ground out farther behind the golf ball. So the trick here is to have this right wrist angled back, and it's a tossing motion. So if I grab a golf ball here, the sensation I want to feel is I get my weight to the left. So let's imagine I was going to stand with my feet this way, but I'm going to toss a golf ball toward my target. I'm going to get my weight to the left, a little shift. I'm going to open my body, and then from here, I'm going to have my right wrist angled back like that, and I'm not going to release my wrist until after contact. So my wrist is doing this motion. It is releasing, but I feel like it's happening after contact with the golf ball. So I'm here, right wrist angle back, and then I simply toss it toward the target. So I'm not holding on to this angle. I'm letting it go, but I'm letting it go up here. That's actually one thing we call a straight line release, meaning that your wrist with all tour players actually does release about 45 degrees in front. So that letting go motion is happening about 45 degrees in front. So toss a few golf balls, get used to the weight going left, get used to your body opening up. Those are all great things that you're having in the golf swing. If you can keep your nose behind the golf ball as you're doing that, that would be the perfect motion. And then once you have that, you're just recreating that same tossing motion, almost like the club is stuck to the golf ball and your right hand is the club face, and you're not going to let that go until after impact. That'll really help you to be a lot more consistent. All right, so those are all great, but one problem that most players are going to have is that they're going to struggle to square up the club face. You see, with that right wrist angled back, notice what happens here. If I angle that right wrist back, look how it opens the club face unless I know the right way to square it like the pros do. So if you've been taught to roll the hands over each other to square the club face, it's going to cause problems. It's what I call the anti-roll method. This is the solution to that. If you've been trying to square the club face your entire life by rolling your forearms, then you need to learn this, or you need to see this video because I got some awesome information for you. I'm going to play a preview of it here in just 1 second. All you need to do is go ahead and click the card that pops up on your screen. If you don't see that card that's on your screen, just go down to the link below in the description and you'll get instant access to that video there too. So I can't wait to show you the anti-roll method. Let's get started right now. Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only 2 pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,